Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're tackling something a little different. Our source material isn't the usual reports or data.
No, not at all. We're actually using, well, song lyrics, treating them as a kind of map.
Exactly. A map into some really powerful themes.
Yeah.
Internal conflict, the weight of things left unsaid, and also that fear of what other people think.
That's the core of it. Our mission here, for you listening, is to really analyze this narrative. Look at it as a blueprint almost of psychological tension.
Yeah.
We want to explore that calculus of vulnerability versus silence. What's the real cost?
And it hits you right away, doesn't it, this tension? The narrator sees someone needing to write your story, but they're just frozen, completely scared of critics. It sets up this fundamental choice right from the get-go.
Yeah, author your life or let fear write it for you.
Okay, so let's dig into that fear first. The critics, the external judgment. What does the source actually say happens if you do speak out? What's the threat?
Well, what jumps out immediately is the language used. It's strong, hyperbolic even. It talks about the fear of what they will do, framing it almost like a prison sentence. But then it flips it.
How so?
It says, they lock you up for life, but death is just a sentence.
Wow. Okay, that's intense. So the implication is that the self-imposed prison of silence, driven by fear of judgment, is actually worse than an ultimate end.
Precisely. It's suggesting that living under the weight of unspoken truth, constantly policing yourself because of their opinions, is this ongoing lifelong confinement. Compared to that, a literal death sentence seems almost finite, less enduring somehow.
It really emphasizes the psychological toll then, the idea that betraying yourself by staying silent is the real-life sentence.
Exactly. And it links this directly to external forces. The lyrics say, the person is letting a dark world dim your spirit.
So it's not just internal fear, it's perceived active suppression from the outside.
Well, yes, the external pressure is depicted as real and active.
Yeah.
But, and this is crucial, I think, the power of those critics really hinges on the subject giving them that power. The fear itself is the mechanism of control.
Ah, right. So the moment you choose silence because you're scared, they've kind of already won, whether they actually do anything or not.
That's the feeling, yes. It's about the cost of the life you don't live, the story you don't write.
So the starting point is this. The most severe sentence might be the one you give yourself by not speaking up.
Okay, so if that external fear is the trigger, let's shift focus inward. What happens inside when you swallow everything down? The lyrics are quite specific here.
Yeah, they list it out, don't they? It's not just vague sadness, it's all that anger that you swallow.
And all your grief and all your pain.
Specific heavy emotions. Actively repressed, it sounds like, not just ignored.
That's a great point. Swallowed implies effort. It takes continuous energy to keep those things down. Anger, grief, pain, these are volatile. And the text suggests this creates kind of toxic internal environment. The goal stated is explicit. Let your pieces become whole again.
Which you can't do if you're holding on to those fragmented, swallowed pieces of anger and grief.
Exactly. Wholeness requires confronting and integrating those specific things. You have to let them out.
And there's this sense of time running out, isn't there? This recurring line.
Ah, yes. Love, the sun is under the path. The light is getting low.
What do you make of that? It feels quite urgent.
It really does. It acts like a ticking clock, I think. It suggests the window for this kind of radical self-expression, for healing and becoming whole, isn't open forever.
So procrastination is costly. The light's fading on the opportunity.
Which makes the next part even more interesting, despite this internal turmoil and fading light.
The person seems okay on the surface.
Right. The narrator has to ask, what's behind those pretty eyes? Because I want to know.
So the suppression is working, externally at least. The eyes are pretty. But someone close can still sense something's wrong.
Absolutely. The facade holds, but it's not impenetrable. The observer sees the beauty, but also feels the hidden depth, the unspoken story behind it. They know there's more.
Okay, and this is where, for me, it gets really compelling. The narrator shifts from just observing to actively trying to pull the story out with some incredibly specific questions.
Yeah, these aren't just casual questions. They feel like probes, designed to hit specific, deep-seated points of pain. Narrative prompts, like you said earlier.
Let's break them down. You mentioned grouping them.
Yeah, I see maybe 4 main areas emerging from these questions. There's dislocation, sort of unresolved trauma, the sheer strain of coping, and then a kind of spiritual loneliness.
Okay, start with dislocation. The question about home.
Right. Tell me about your home and why you never visit the places where you grew but only grew in different.
That grew and different part is key. It suggests the past isn't just past, it's alien, something actively avoided.
Exactly. It implies a break, maybe a painful one, from roots, from origin.
Yeah.
Something happened there that makes revisiting impossible or undesirable. It's tied to identity formation.
Okay, then the trauma. That line is so vivid. Tell me about your scars that haven't finished bleeding.
It's powerful, isn't it? It says the wounds aren't historical artifacts. They're active, present, still hurting.
So the person isn't just dealing with memories, they're actively managing ongoing pain. The bleeding hasn't stopped.
It requires constant attention, constant energy to manage or conceal.
And that leads into the strain of it all, the metaphor used. Tell me how you hold it on with broken fingers.
That one really lands the physical and emotional effort involved. It's not just a mental game. Repression is work. It paints this picture of trying to grip life, to keep things together, when your very capacity to hold on, your inner resources, your fingers, are damaged, broken. It's a struggle just to function.
Such a feeling of precariousness. And then the final layer, spiritual isolation.
Yeah, the question, tell me how you prayed and felt like no one listened.
Oof. So alienated from home, carrying active wounds, struggling to cope, and feeling unheard even by a higher power. It's complete isolation.
It really paints a picture of someone profoundly alone with immense complex pain. Dislocation, active trauma, functional breakdown, spiritual silence. It's a whole constellation of suffering held inside.
And the source suggests this internal state creates contradictions too, right? Like how you love cold but ain't the winter. Things that don't make sense from the outside.
Exactly. That complexity can only be understood if the person speaks, which is why the plea is so direct. Burn the light.
But not just for themselves. It's also, give me eyes to see it. The observer needs the story to understand.
And that's key. Understanding, vision, clarity, it all comes from the act of speaking the truth. The observer can't see without the subject sharing. Which brings us back to that line about burning the light only by vision. They have the insight, maybe the understanding of what needs to change.
But they haven't acted on it yet, haven't spoken it, haven't manifested that light.
So wrapping this all up, the core message from our deep dive into these lyrics is pretty clear, I think. The real price, the heaviest burden, isn't paid because of what critics might say. It's paid internally. In the currency of swallowed anger, grief, and pain. That's what fragments the self.
And wholeness, then, requires actively voicing that hidden narrative, clearing out those specific toxic emotions.
Exactly. It's not passive. It's an active process of moving from hidden anguish to spoken truth.
And really grasping those pressures, that choice between fear and the fundamental need for self-expression, that feels like the key takeaway for you, the listener, today. The source argues speaking your mind isn't optional for healing, it's essential.
Which leads us right into our final thought for you to consider. We talked about the subject currently only burning the light, but only by vision. They see it, they have the potential, the internal knowledge.
But they haven't made it real yet.
Right. So if speaking your mind, voicing the truth, is the necessary step to clear the soul and achieve that wholeness, what specific concrete action does someone need to take? What bridges the gap between just seeing the light internally and actually manifesting it, making it visible, tangible, both for themselves and others?
What does that first step look like? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll catch you next time.